Margaret had always believed that love found you when you least expected it. At 53, the elegant blonde woman with gentle blue eyes had given up on the fairy tale romance she'd dreamed of in her youth. Her days were filled with meaningful work at the local library, tending to her small garden, and cherishing quiet evenings with a good book. Then she met Thomas. Thomas Morrison was a successful tech entrepreneur in his late 40s, confined to a wheelchair after a skiing accident 5 years prior. What drew Margaret to him wasn't his wealth or status. It was the way his eyes lit up when he spoke about his passion projects, his genuine laughter, and the kindness he showed to everyone around him. Their courtship had been refreshingly honest. Thomas never hid his limitations, and Margaret never pretended they didn't exist. Instead, they built something beautiful on mutual respect and deep affection. When he proposed 6 months later, Margaret said yes, not because of what he could provide, but because of who he was. "I know this isn't what you probably imagined for yourself," Thomas had said that evening, holding her hand as they sat on his back patio overlooking the lake. Margaret had squeezed his hand gently. "Thomas, at our age, we both know that life rarely goes according to plan. What matters is finding someone who makes the unexpected journey worthwhile." The wedding day arrived with golden autumn light streaming through the windows of the historic inn where they'd chosen to marry. Margaret wore an elegant off-the-shoulder gown, simple but beautiful, her hair swept up in a classic style. She felt radiant, not with the giddy excitement of a young bride, but with the deep contentment of a woman who had found her person. As she walked down the aisle, she saw Thomas waiting for her, handsome in his black tuxedo, his face glowing with joy. The small gathering of family and friends smiled warmly as she approached. These were people who had watched them both navigate life's challenges and celebrated their finding each other. But as Margaret reached the altar, something unexpected happened. Thomas, with tears in his eyes, slowly began to rise from his wheelchair. The room fell silent. Margaret's hand flew to her heart as she watched her beloved stand, taking careful but steady steps toward her. "The doctor said it might never happen," Thomas whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "But I've been working with a new physical therapy team for months. I wanted to stand when I married you, Margaret. You've given me so much hope, so much reason to keep trying." Margaret's eyes filled with tears, not of surprise at his condition, but at the profound love that had motivated his secret journey of healing. She realized in that moment that his recovery wasn't the surprise that mattered most. The real surprise was this: she had entered this relationship thinking she was accepting limitations, perhaps settling for a different kind of love than she'd once imagined. Instead, she had found something infinitely more precious, a partnership built on genuine caring, mutual support, and the kind of deep connection that grows stronger with each passing day. As Thomas took her hands, both of them standing together, Margaret understood that the greatest gifts in life often come disguised as something else entirely. She thought she was marrying a disabled millionaire, finding security and companionship in her later years. What she actually found was a man who loved her enough to fight for every small miracle, and a love mature enough to transcend any physical circumstance. "Thomas," she whispered as they exchanged vows, "you've already given me everything I never knew I needed." The minister's words seemed to float around them as they gazed into each other's eyes. This wasn't the passionate romance of youth. It was something richer, deeper, seasoned with the wisdom that comes from understanding what truly matters. When they kissed as husband and wife, the room erupted in gentle applause. But for Margaret and Thomas, the world had narrowed to just the two of them. Two people who had found in each other not just love, but a reason to believe that the best chapters of life might still be unwritten. Later, as they danced their first dance, Thomas holding her steady as they swayed gently together. Margaret reflected on the beautiful unpredictability of love. She had learned that sometimes what looks like compromise is actually grace, and that the heart, no matter what age, remains capable of wonderful surprises. Their love story became one that friends would tell for years to come, not because of the dramatic moment when Thomas stood, but because of the quiet, enduring truth they had discovered. Real love isn't about perfect circumstances or fairy tale endings. It's about finding someone who makes you want to be your best self and who sees in you possibilities you never knew existed. As the evening wound down and guests shared warm embraces and kind words, Margaret and Thomas knew they had found something rare and precious. Not a love that conquered all obstacles, but a love that transformed obstacles into stepping stones towards something even more beautiful than they had dared to imagine. The surprise wasn't that Thomas could walk again. The surprise was that love, at any age, still had the power to change everything.